Atma Namaskaram, Siddha Vedam, the Moksha Sutram in English. Please find the meanings of the words other than English in the description below. Siddha Vedam, Chapter 3.
From what has been said, I am convinced that the self is Iswara, and from that self energy, when it spreads, the outside world comes into existence. But generally, people say that the birth and death are according to our Punyam and Papam. What is the truth of it?
What have you understood by Punyam and Papam?
Punyam or Sukritam means doing good work, like being kind and harmless to others and giving gifts of food, cows and other things, and performing Yaga, Homa and other pujas. Papam or Dushkritam means doing bad work like harming others and refusing to be charitable, etc. This is how I have understood these expressions.
This conception is very wrong. You cannot say that Sukritam is good work and Dushkritam is bad work. It is because you say that birth and death are due to Sukritam and Dushkritam. So, all beings from an ant to an elephant must be under the rule of this Sukritam and Dushkritam. Of these, can you tell me who are all born of Dushkritam?
We human beings are born of Sukritam and the rest of Dushkritam.
When did we, the so-called human beings, do Sukritam to be born as human beings, and the so-called animals like ants etc. do Dushkritam to be born as such?
In the previous birth.
Can you tell me who we were in our previous births and what were the good deeds that we did to be born as human beings, and who the ants and other animals were in their previous births, and what were the evil deeds done by them to be born as such?
No.
Then there is no use in believing in things about which one has no experience. You must only believe in things that come into your Shruti, Yukti and Anubhavam. The reason is this. From ant to ourself, whatever creatures we see, hear or know in this world, they are all of one Jeeva. The apparent difference that we note is the difference in the shape of the body. Moreover, when one's own Jeeva spreads out, it becomes energy. In that energy, one's Jeeva is reflected into other things, and that reflection is the world we see. About this, I shall speak in detail afterwards. If you say birth and death are due to Sukritam and Dushkritam, and even the persons whom you call kings are subjected to these two states. Besides, if we do Sukritam and Dushkritam, when do we reap the fruits of that?
That done in the previous birth is reaped in this birth, and that done in this birth is reaped in the next birth.
How? In what manner?
Those who do Sukritam take place as Brahmins, kings and rich men, and experience the fruits. And those who do Dushkritam take birth as poor and sick and experience the fruits.
But do not Brahmins, kings and rich men fall sick?
They do fall sick.
What was the cause, and when did they do the Dushkritam?
In the previous birth.
If so, how can they become Brahmins or kings or rich men? In that case, must not we also take birth as said above? It is because only when there is absolutely no sin at all, there is the possibility of becoming Brahmins and kings. Also, kings are told to be Punyotkrista sarira, that is, those whose virtue reached the highest position. That means virtue became the highest position. Then the thing called sin not at all exists. It is because when virtue reaches the highest point, it becomes God, since the highest thing is God. Then Virtue merges with God and it becomes God itself. Only then it becomes king. The king is of divine origin. That is the reason it is said that Raja Pratyaksha Devata, the king is the visible God. In every school, we have seen this expression Raja Pratyaksha Devata being written and hung on the walls. So, the king is understood to be the visible God. Such a king should not have any illness. Moreover, we don't have the illness that mostly the kings are susceptible to. They get serious diseases such as consumption, venereal affections, diabetes, and paralysis. So, they must be persons who have committed greater sins. Can such evil men be born as kings?
No.
So, from where does the idea of Sukritam and Dushkritam arise?
From mind.
If we don't have mind, will we have this idea of Sukritam and Dushkritam?
No.
What will happen if the Dushkritam that comes out of the mind does not originate at all?
It will be Sukritam only.
What Sukritam means?
It is state to unite with God.
Then, where is God in us?
God is above in us.
God is above us, but above us there is head. In that, God is existing. If one must merge and be in one single state with that God above him in his head, he must be in one single gati with God. That is said to be as Punyotkrista. Punyotkrista Sariras are Iswara, that is, Sariras whose virtue reached the highest point, they are Iswara. That is why it is said that the king is of divine origin, the Punyotkrista. So, when one who leaves of all the evil deeds arising from within gets into one single kati with God up above in his head, his virtue attains the highest point and he becomes the king. Suppose a person whom you call Chandala would become like that as said above, then what would he be?
He will be a king.
So, is there a separate creation of beings called kings?
No.
So, how does a person become a king?
By his own endeavors.
It is like this. Our self energy always spreads out, gets impressed upon various things, and lies embarrassed into moha. When that self energy, without getting spread out and embarrassed upon anything, comes in one single gati so as to reach the self itself, the source of origin or birthplace, that alone is the state called kingship. Instead of this, the state of those whom we consider as kings is that established by conquiring all the properties, being equally entitled to all the lives spread throughout the world on the principle that might is right, and by creating ranks and respects. It is like this. If somebody became extraordinarily brave and earned public influence, he would arrest and bind the rest of the people, would beat and drive them, would compel them by force that all people must obey him. He would be the king. All must act in accordance with his words, etc. Would thus make them slaves and would subdue and rule over them. Those who are known to be kings, princes, lords, and rich men are like this. For example, the leader of the Moplah rebellion, which took place in Malabar on 1921, was one Kunhi Ahmad Haji. He was a known depredator, being given imprisonment once or twice by the government. Suppose he earned much public influence and thus grew powerful, thereby waging war with the government of India and began to harass cruelly, arrest, bind, and drive away the people. If all of the subject, being afraid of, were found subdued and subjected to him, what did he will be called?
He would be called king.
So, is this kingship a special creation of God or the direct result of being wicked?
It is the direct result of being wicked.
So, it is because of not knowing what Sukritam and Dushkritam mean, it has been misunderstood. Dushkritam is getting contaminated and destroyed. That is the destruction of Sukritam. If so, suppose somebody becomes bedridden, then do you call him a man of Sukritam or a man of Dushkritam?
A man of Dushkritam.
That cannot be said so. The reason is if Shukritam becomes extinct, one dies out. That is why it is said that if Punyam ends, one becomes dead. Does not that person, fallen sick, have Jeeva within himself? He is not at all dead. Papam means being bereft of the energy of God. Does not that person have divine energy at the time when he is bedridden? If there is no divine energy, one becomes equal to a wooden doll. Only then it is said to be Papam. Papam is that which, being bereft of the divine energy, gets the Jiva exhausted from it. Jiva itself is Ishvara, that is the Punyam. It is told that the substance, Punyam, becomes exhausted and sets just like mist in the disk of the moon. Yet, it is correct. It is because moon means mind. Moon's disk is the region of the mind. Mist means the vapor being the water. That is, it is the smoke of thought. Hence, by the thoughts of this, that, etc., the punyam being the jiva gets exhausted in the region of the mind, the moon's disk. Only then one becomes dead. That is why it is said that the punyam ends and gets into the moon's disk just equal to mist and sits there. What is that ends thus?
It is the Punyam being the Jiva.
But when that punyam gets exhausted from oneself, he becomes dead. Hence, it is clear that the substance being the punyam exists within us. That is the wealth of Shukritam. That is the Purushartha. That is the Artha in Sushumna, which is in the Puram. Puram means house, that is the body. Sushumna means Hridayam. Artha means wealth. Hence, Purushartha is the wealth in the Hridayam, the Sushumna in the Puram. It is when that wealth gets exhausted, we die out. It is like this. Take, for example, a box full of money in it. If we are squandering away that money, what will be the result?
The money will get exhausted.
What will be left behind?
Only the box.
In the same way, consider this body as a box. It is in this box of body that the wealth of Sukritam exists. When that wealth is squandered away, what happens?
The death.
Then only the wealth of Sukritam exhausts. What remains then?
The empty box of body alone.
When the wealth of Shukritam in this box of body is spent away, the box of body is left behind and it is either buried or cremated. That is our actual experience, isn't it? Hence, it becomes clear that there was a wealth in this body and that wealth was Shukritam. Shukritam means Visheshakritam. That is, Vishesham means knowledge. Kritam, which means that which is done. Hence, Visheshakritam means that which is done of knowledge. It is therefore told in this world that whatever done of knowledge is Shukritam and whatever done of ignorance is Dushkritam, that is true. Since what is called knowledge that is described before?
It is Vayu, the Jiva Sakti.
What were you told about the nature of this Vayu?
It was said to be Samirana, which is in contact with Brahmarandram.
So, Sukritam is that which is done of Vayu, the knowledge, and that instead of going internally, goes externally and gets exhausted is Dushkritam. That is the reason for the popular saying that with the extinction of Punyam, Papam sets in. Now, what do you understand by Papam?
The destruction of life.
Do you love your life?
Yes, I love my life.
In that case, should you die?
I will die out.
If you love your life, do you think that you will die?
I don't understand that.
I shall tell you. If you love your life, you will not waste your energy outside, but concentrate and store the same within yourself. Isn't it?
Yes, that is so.
Then, can you die out?
No, I cannot die out.
Not only that, if you love your life, you will not do any harm to others. Whenever one loves oneself, one cannot do harm to others. If one loves oneself, one will not get out of oneself. If one does not get out of oneself, one cannot do any harm to others. It is like this. Imagine a house with 2 floors, each with one room. The upper floor containing many windows. You will get into this building, go upstairs and shut the entrance. You look around through the many windows. You can see everything that goes about outside. But can you do any harm to any individual outside without getting down and coming out?
I can't.
So, as long as you are in that high level, you are in a position to see everything around you. Likewise, since the Jiva in oneself gets down and spreads out, there occurs the chance to do various harms. If that Jiva, without spreading out, gets concentrated within oneself, one would be knowing everything without harming anybody. Then only it can be said that one has loved the Jiva. We are not all loving our Jiva in this manner. Hence, our Jiva gets out and falls upon various things. That is, our Jiva goes out through nostrils, mouth, etc. and gets destroyed. That state of being destroyed is called Papam. That is, the Vayu, the Jiva Sakti, which is our Sukritam existing in us, gets out and exhausts as Dushkritam by Anulomam and Pratilomam. It is like this. Anulomam is breathing out through nose, etc., and Pratilomam is breathing in through the same way. Thus, our Jiva gets out and comes in repeatedly and at last gets destroyed from us once for all and we become dead. That is, due to the thoughts of this, that, etc., our Jiva, the very essence in us, without knowing itself, becomes Dushkritam and goes out and gets destroyed. This state is called Papam. So, have you been loving your life hitherto?
No.
If you love your life, would you die out?
No.
Why should we do Sukritam?
That we may not die.
When a person is dead, does the corpse has any consciousness or memory?
It has no consciousness or memory.
Why is it so?
Because it is dead.
When he died, what is it that the corpse did not have?
Vayu, the Jiva Sakti.
So, what is that preserves us?
Vayu, the Jiva Sakti.
That is known as Iswara or God. Thank you. Atma Namaskaram. End of chapter 3. For those who are willing to get initiation of Siddha Vidya, please contact our Chennai Siddha Vidya Nilayam Trust Head Office at Tamil Nadu, India. The address details are Chennai Siddha Vidya Nilayam Trust, 69 Sivaprakasam Road, Sivanandapuram, Vadamadurai via Periyapalayam. Postcode 601102. Contact phone number +91 9790 600015. Atma Namaskaram.